È una nuova puntata di 724 Europa qui a Bruxelles. Vi preannuncio che l'ospite viene dalla Germania, tra l'altro dalla parte della Germania dell'Est, quindi capiremo anche qual è la situazione economica e soprattutto quali sono le condizioni per cui, come ci dirà sicuramente, i giornali tedeschi spingono, annunciano questa recessione in Germania che ancora non c'è, quindi è più come dire una situazione mediatica guidata dai mezzi di comunicazione piuttosto che nella realtà dei fatti in economia. Adesso però dovrò switchare in inglese perché altrimenti la mia ospite non mi capisce. Anna Cavazzini, welcome in 724 Europe.
Thank you.
It's a very great honor to welcome you here. You are a part of the Greens and the EFI groups here in the European Parliament. It's a very challenging job here in Brussels, even because you are looking for the Treaty Committee and a sort of humanity or humanism economic process. Mm-hmm. Is true this kind of proposal that you put on the table of the European Parliament?
Yeah, as you say, I work in the Trade Committee, and we as Greens, we feel that also our trade policy should be much more coherent with our climate goals, with human rights, with sustainability.
You ask human rights standards, social standards, so just to be back in very good words in some way, it is so difficult to find this kind of environmental for the human being. Is this true?
I mean, I would say it's very, very clear what the goals are. For example, don't breach human rights, meaning no child labor, no slavery labor, not breaching trade unions' rights. And I think it's very concrete goals. But at the moment, they're very weak, anchored in trade agreements. Almost nothing is in trade agreements. So we are fighting for more binding standards in trade agreements.
So even you talking about even between United States and China, or even with the economic blocks that we have in the world.
Yeah, for example, take Mercosur. This is very recent at the moment. It's a recent trade agreement between the EU and the Mercosur countries, Brazil, Argentina.
Latin America.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paraguay and Argentina.
You are part of the delegation of Brazil, right?
Exactly. I'm second vice chair.
Obrigado.
And for example, we see a lot of human rights violations in Brazil at the moment.
Yeah.
And we say we need stronger enforcement mechanisms in Mercosur, in the Mercosur trade agreement. So if in the future Bolsonaro still breaches human rights standards, then the EU can really do something.
If we see, for example, the situation in Amazonas for the President Bolsonaro is not a good example for the President of Brazil. I think you are very angry for that situation, the situation that the poor people that are working in the big city like São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, Brasilia even, is a very bad situation for the people, for the poor people, right?
Yeah, we see a lot of human rights violations, and we also see a lot of environmental degradation, because since Bolsonaro came into power, he really cut the funding for environment. He's very loose on the fires in the Amazon. I mean, for 2 or 3 days, he didn't even do anything and blamed the NGOs, that the NGOs put the Amazon on fire. So I also think that President Bolsonaro needs to do much more in order to protect the rainforest. But of course, with the help of the international community and also with international funding, if he wants to.
Why you have a very strong relation with Hogan about the agriculture, because you are not satisfied about the position of Hogan, right?
Yeah, yesterday we had the hearing with the Commissioner Designate on Trade, Phil Hogan, and indeed we found, although he was very open, he was saying that he's committed to learn and to engage with the Parliament, we found there was really nothing new, nothing substantial on questions of sustainability, climate change and human rights.
So the same song,
exactly.
The same words.
It was really
nothing
business
happened.
as usual. Yeah.
Okay.
And we feel the world is changing. There's thousands of young protesters on the street fighting for more climate change, against climate change, and we feel that Hogan did not really take all of the different aspects of society that are important for young people into his presentation yesterday.
So, what is the solution? Why the European Parliament and your group needs to push on the Commission, on the European Commission and Mr. Hogan?
Yeah, as I tried to explain at the beginning, we really want to have binding standards in trade agreements, and we also really...
And you are confident that you achieve these kind of results?
I think because the mindset of society is changing. The Greens were really the big winners of the European elections. A lot of people see also other groups, Social Democrats, the Liberals, etc., that environment and climate change are really important topics for a lot of people in Europe. I think we have if the parliament sticks together, we have a really strong leverage for a different trade policy. For example, we are also fighting for more sustainable supply chains, and I think there's really a majority in the parliament for that.
You're coming from Germany and the east of Germany. How is important, because in Europe, as you know, Germany represents one of the of the political side. But in some way, there is a competition between France and Italy, Spain and Portugal. So how is it important to maintain a very political union and present proposal for the future, especially in the climate change, because this is the focal point at this moment?
Yeah, I think we really have to... Europe can only function if we really stick together and all the different states with the different interests in Europe come together and think to the future and also think about the next generations. And I think it's important that Germany plays a more active role in that, in trying to get like other countries on board. There's the German Council presidency in the end of 2020. I think it's a big chance of getting other like-minded states on board and trying to push Europe forward towards a carbon-neutral economy.
You have a good consideration, the new president of the European Commission, because I guess that you know very well the president von der Leyen. You have a good reputation about the president?
You probably know that we as the Greens didn't vote for her. That had several reasons. One reason was obviously also because she was not a Spitzenkandidat, and this is of course not her fault, but we didn't like the whole game where the parliament was a little bit sidelined by the council, because I still believe this Spitzenkandidaten principle is a very strong democratic process or progress. And secondly, the commitments we heard from von der Leyen were not enough for us. But of course, we're going to work with her together now, and we also try to work with her, especially on the promises she made on the Green Deal and on other issues.
The last question I make in Spanish.
Okay.
We try to finalize our interview in Spanish because you have a great experience in the past in Mexico. ¿Por qué pediste un night jet en vez que un EasyJet con el tren? ¿Qué pasó de Viena a Berlín?
Ya, refieres que a veces intento de tomar trenes de noche, porque a mí me gusta más de tomar el tren en vez del avión. Y pienso que en Europa no hay muchos trenes de noche. Había en el pasado, pero muchas compañías...
Tenemos mucho, por ejemplo, en Italia.
Todavía está muy bien.
Sí.
Y yo pienso que está muy bien porque esto es muy, muy rápido y no...
menos emisión de gas.
Hay menos emisiones y creo que también con los trenes de noche es también muy interesante para los jóvenes. Y creo que así puede también crecer una Europa juntos.
Un viaje más relajado.
Sí.
Esto es. Muchísimas gracias. Anna Cavazzini, ha sido un gran placer. Muchísimas gracias.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and we hope to renew our interview here in Bruxelles. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. E grazie ai nostri telespettatori che ci hanno seguito in questa bella intervista per conoscere Anna Cavazzini. La prossima puntata sarà sicuramente molto più tecnologica. Grazie per averci seguito. Arrivederci.